Pope, that looks like a,
Yeah, we got a visual on Pope. I'm digging that. Hey, B.
that is not your normal
Hey,
Jimi
brother.
Hendrix and John Wayne and Dude Lebowski behind you. That's pretty awesome.
No, I didn't get ready and quick enough to get to the office because you were on a call with me.
That's right.
So
That background looks like they're creating these NFGs now, right? These tokens. You could pose and create like a token and sell it, and I would buy that one.
What is an
That's like
NFG?
NFT isn't it like a non-fungible token or something? I think it's a visual. I bet Mark is in the loop on that, right?
it's crazy. It's a digital picture. It's a digital picture that's like so check us out. You get the unique one, the original. My daughter's doing these now and making a lot of money. She's an artist. And so you get the original digital, and then everybody else, they can have it. They just can't have yours. And so these things are some of them are going for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't understand the economy at all.
There's a limited, it's a limited, like Tyson Fury, after my boy took Wilder out Saturday, he's got like 1,000, he produced 1,000 tokens, and then, they just go on auction for, X amount of dollars. Yeah.
So if there's anybody in the crowd that knows what the hell everybody's talking about, feel free to clear things up in the chat, because I'm more confused than when I asked the question.
Well, I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest guy, and I know. That's crazy.
They probably taught you down in South America, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
You might be the second oldest, Pope.
Do I look younger?
You do. Yeah, you do. You look great. Matter of fact, I meant to tell you, you left the shirt that you're wearing right now. You left its brother or sister shirt in my car when you were here a couple of weeks ago. So I need to send it out to you.
Brandon tried it on today. He almost wore it.
And you and I would have been this close to dressing just alike. And Meredith said I couldn't pull off the V. I was like, oh yeah, watch this. Just unbuttoned an extra button. I got the
do you remember? Not to burn the clock, but do you remember when we were in Ireland and my shirt buttons kept coming undone, and it would go down to like my sternum, and so everybody
all the men unbuttoned their shirts all the way.
Yeah, we
down.
have great pictures of that. Dunlap, Weaver, everybody's got their shirts unbuttoned.
Yeah.
And I think after that meeting, Linwood, after that meeting, I think we all went and jumped in a moat. Remember?
You're right. Oh yeah.
Good times. All right, enough shenanigans. I think 527 and rising people are here, and they probably came for something more important than what we've been talking about. I've got Mr. Mark Palmer, and anybody else that's not wanting to speak yet, you can just veil for us. Who am I looking at here? All right, Mark Palmer, better known as Deal-A-Day Palmer, also known as Bud or Bud Bigley. He'll answer to about a half a dozen names around here, all of which are really good names too. He is the guru when it comes to ears and O's. And because we sent out some ear notifications last week, we thought it would be perfect timing for us to hop on and kind of talk through that. Normally on this call, and what we announced a few weeks ago is that we were going to have Max Day on to really help us dig into recruiting. That was the plan. Unfortunately, Max, his mother is not doing well. So keep her in your thoughts and prayers. She has terminal cancer, and so he's going to take a step away for a couple of days, maybe even weeks. We're going to let Max make that call, obviously. So keep his family in your prayers. And if you're trying to reach out to Max for any recruiting info, just know that that's where he is if he's not as responsive. So, Mark, I do believe you and I can get this party started with me sharing my screen and kind of going over some things. We've had a lot of questions regarding equity appreciation plans, and we thought, what a perfect time to answer those questions. So I'm just going to kind of hit some of these points, Mark, that are a little bit more of reminders. A lot of this is actually reminders. 20% of the company was reserved for an equity plan, 15% of that to the agent force, 5% to the corporate staff. In bold, you will see, right? The plan is to make additional grants to leading producers and owners outside of the two that we've done, but there are never any guarantees in these things. And I think one of the most important things that we can continue to kind of hammer on is agents cannot earn ears or a gift. Mark, why is that? And I will ask you these questions throughout this call because I really want there to be clarity to everyone out there on not only what they should expect, but also how they should be discussing this, how they should be. I don't even think that you should be selling it as an example. You shouldn't use it necessarily as a recruiting tool. But why is it that agents cannot earn ears?
Right. I mean, ears are an available benefit for now that are generally offered at the end of the year by the company to the top half of the AO pool. That's the general principle. But what the top half is obviously open to question, right? It's not one thing. It's not like your net placed. It's not your PPL. It's not how many recruits or SNAs you make. It's a combination of many things, just like all of you who are in leadership positions and run agents and other AOs understand, right? It's not one particular variable. And that's very important to get. Like, first, once you say that, it becomes clear, like, it actually would be impossible to set specific targets. But I think more importantly, and everybody needs to realize, in putting this plan together, it was a very novel plan. It was very unique. It took months of planning and frankly, hundreds of thousands of dollars of legal analysis to even pull it together. And after long consultations and structural meetings with our counsels, and there were a couple, it was very clear, like, to set targets or to say, hey, if you do this, you will get this, or if you do this, you will absolutely qualify, would legally impair the plan. There's too many agents receiving ears, right? These are not registered securities. This is not a registered transaction with the SEC. None of that is going on, right? These are gift grants. There's no specific effort that an agent exerts to earn a specific amount of ears. It's not like you can purchase them from the company with your labor. That is not what is going on, right? The ears are legally structured this way so we can have ears, right? If we were doing it any other way, we couldn't even have them. So in order for the plan to exist, it has to exist this way.
I think we lost you there, Mark. Are you muted by chance?
No, I wasn't muted. Can you hear me?
Got you now. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to turn off my video just in case it's consuming bandwidth.
Okay.
So as I was saying, I'll just double back a few seconds. Legally, you can't say, do this labor, achieve this target, you get these years, right? We cannot do that. If we tried to do that, it would impair the plan. And obviously we all want the plan. It's really designed so that people who receive them, and the company sort of exercises discretion. That's why they're gift grants. They look at the total mix of information and ascertain what is really advancing the company last year based upon what the AOs are doing. And once we figure that out based upon the data and the analysis, then we use all those factors to gift grant to the top half of the AOs. So, obviously, if you're at the tippity top, and always at the tippity top every year, you might assume that, all right, I'm going to be in the pool. But it doesn't mean that you can chase a specific number of years with a specific type of activity. They're gift grants. It's legally required to be so, and that's why we do it this way.
Excellent. And I think it's important to just kind of talk through what were the factors this year. And if you were to look at everything that we kind of dug into, and I guess the adjusted, if you would call it premium, but just the adjusted numbers that factor in all of these things, they're the same things that help you develop a successful agency, right? And so throughout the year, as we begin to talk about, the importance of building a base shop, the importance of year-over-year growth, the importance of recruiting so that you can then turn recruits into writers, and hopefully writers into SNAs, and then hopefully SNAs into agency owners, there's really about 4 or 5 things that will help you really build a successful agency. Those are the things that you should be focused on if you're a builder. There were also a lot of gift grants for the producers, okay? But the 4 main things that you're seeing here, base shop boosters, the people that continue to build in width and not just depth. People that build their base shop are more actively engaged in continuing to help the organization because you're bringing on new blood to the organization. That's what we mean by width, okay? Depth is also very good, but if all you're doing is building in depth, okay, then you run a little bit of a risk of not having the type of growth that you could. We also had specific monthly production bonuses. I think we had 3 or 4 of those, and they actually really helped, Mark. There were several of those from 2020 and maybe it was just 2 of those. I can't remember exactly what the dates were, but when we roll out double production for ears, you really need to be focused and paying attention, Mark, because they really help.
It moved the needle for a lot. It did, right? So everybody thinks, oh, my MPP was X, but then they don't look at the 4 months of production bonuses. And there was a big separation among people with similar MPP, but they had very dissimilar production bonus credit. So it actually made a difference.
Yep. If you were an agency owner that produced new writers, which obviously starts with recruits, then goes to new writers, and you also developed leaders, so you broke out agency owners, then you got a pretty big boost for that as well. And I think one of the things that may have, if there was anybody out there that felt like maybe they should have gotten grants, but they didn't, I think if you were low in any of these categories, and especially, Mark, I would say the year-over-year growth rate, that was a big one. Now, we didn't leave that uncapped. We put a cap at 2 times. So if you doubled as an organization, you got a lot of credit for that. If you went backwards by 30 or 40% or 50%, which didn't happen to a lot of people, but it certainly happened to some, that really hurt you. Okay. And then obviously on the producer side, as we said, $200,000 kind of got you into the pool there. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, Mark, I love that you put this PowerPoint together so that we could really hopefully clear some things up and answer some questions. All of this stuff, you guys, most of you already know, Quility holds the ongoing business of all the field, corporate, wholesale, all the intellectual property and the technology of the group. Any payout will be based on all value created above the valuation in effect on the date that the first grants were made. So the valuation was around 140 million. 220, you guys should all be extremely proud of this. You saw that valuation jump to 215 million. That was during a pandemic, okay? Your grants vest and pay out only upon the occurrence of a triggering event, okay? You have to, I should say, on or prior to 7/31/2030, lapse if you cease to be in good standing. So if you're no longer here, they lapse. So what is a triggering event? Generally, a triggering event that you've heard us talk about could be an IPO where the company decides to go public. It could be when an entity, maybe a private investment firm, invests capital, but it has to be for a majority of the business. Anything you want to kind of add to those things, or what you, with everything that we've been seeing going on, Palmer or Pope?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd only reiterate what Casey said. The triggering, look, I mean, there's a long time before there's a triggering event, right? So the years, there could be a triggering event soon. There could be a triggering event 4 years from now. There could be an IPO. It doesn't mean all of your ears will disappear. Here's what it means. When there's a triggering event, it means the ears that you own vest and they become your property. They're yours, right? It's not like they're going to lapse, right? The triggering event happened. So those ears become vested in your hands as your property. They're not going to disappear. They're yours.
Yep.
Right. And so once they vest, it doesn't mean they get wiped out. It doesn't mean if there's an IPO at a certain valuation, like everything gets cleaned up, or if, somebody takes a majority stake of the business, it doesn't mean, oh, okay, all the ears get valued right then and they're wiped out and they get cashed out, right? That's not what it means. And this is what Casey meant when he said there could be multiple events. It means that your ears vest in your hands. So you hold them and they're yours. You can put them in your safe and they belong to you. You may get some cash, and some may just continue to ride through, right? So that you can continue to enjoy upside appreciation after an IPO or after a triggering event. So they were structured to give maximum value to the holders in the event of a triggering event and to give maximum certainty. As we've repeated, the one thing you can't get certainty on is like, if I exert X dollars worth of effort, I get Y dollars worth of years. That cannot happen. But once you have them, this is what happens. When they're in your hands, you have them. The triggering event happens. They can't leave your hands after the triggering event. And then you don't necessarily get paid out 100% on day one, maybe, but you also can ride through for additional equity appreciation after the deal.
It's good. Meredith just made a good point. And I wanted to reiterate, one of the things that we were really intentional about when designing this plan, and certainly putting the parameters and guidelines around it for 2020, was that we didn't want to create something where the rich just kept getting richer. Like you were at the top and therefore you were just going to take the majority of the ears. There were people that were closer to the top, I should say, that didn't do things necessarily that would have allowed them to earn more, Mark. Like they didn't have positive growth, or they didn't have a positive base shop, or they didn't have the things that we mentioned earlier. So we wanted to create something where everyone has an opportunity if you're doing the right things. And I'll say this again, and I'll say it probably several more times during this call. The right things are not earning you ears. The right things are helping you develop a very successful agency. That's the most important thing for the company. The things that we're rewarding are the things that help you do that. They help you sustain growth. They help you build a massive cash flow business. That's the most important thing. Okay. So the goal, obviously, when we rolled this out was we wanted to provide a participation award. If an event happens, and it may not, if an event happens, if you hold ears, they let you share in the value that you help us all create. Okay. Hope, anything you want to add to that, bud?
Well, I will say this. We're explaining this because we just want it to be clear. But one thing that's pretty cool too is we have competition out there kind of slamming what we're doing. And I think that's because they're not doing it.
That's for sure.
What do you do when you can't compete with something? You downplay it. You talk bad about it. So this is really good stuff. And I'll tell you, where I think the critical mass happens is we have so many things. Like, look, we just did the SBLI term. We have ROP coming. We've got like 6 products up to bat coming on board. We have a steering committee work group that's working on a sales platform very similar to DFL, but for mortgage protection and life insurance, that is just going to blow people's minds. I mean, it's going to make selling what we sell so much easier, faster, where we really condense the sales cycle and then the delivery to the customer down to minutes, not weeks, right? And guess what all that does? It adds value to the company. And I'll tell you, I don't know how many people out there know this or paying attention. We know what people are doing out there. Especially the big insurtech in the insurtech space, the big players in the insurtech space, they are 3 years behind us. If you watch them now, they're trying to recruit agents because they can't go direct to consumer. They figured out, oh boy, we need agents to do this. Well, good luck, and it's just a mess. But all of this adds value to the company, and the valuations these companies are getting is kind of ridiculous for what they're doing, and it's just so much going. There's so much good stuff coming. And I know we've been saying this for years. Now you're starting to actually see it. In the next 6 months, we are going to empower and enable our folks, both recruiting and selling, to probably double or triple their efforts, or double or triple their results with the same amount of effort. Easily double, probably more like triple or quadruple the results with the same amount of effort.
That's such a good point. I'm glad you said that, because there's something that we've wanted to make clear from the very beginning on all of this. As we talk about, going to a triggering event, if that were to happen, what would that look like for us? The most important thing for us as a company is that we continue to build a tremendous amount of value to the agent and the agency builder in the company. And obviously
And
the home office
and the
staff
and the customer and the customer and
of
the
course,
customer.
you're right. And the
right,
customer.
because a lot you're already seeing the product development side that's doing that, where Quility term is you're able to easily get them 50% more for the same premium. And when you see these other when everybody sees these other products coming online and what it does to create value, like Resma always says that price is only an issue in the absence of value. When you see what the value is going to create with these other ancillary add-on products, we're creating the value meal for insurance. That's just a no-brainer. It's going to be a no-brainer to the customer, but it creates so much more value. It'll improve persistency. It'll improve retention.
Well, it includes placement. Placement and retention right out of the gate, right? Because with the way we underwrite, you don't leave the appointment unless you know they've got something in place.
Yeah, and it's in their email box when you're done.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you guys see the whole package, it's like this pie of added value. These pieces of the pie of added value that's going to affect every stakeholder in our ecosystem, which is us, all of us on this call, our agents, our home office staff, our carriers, and our customers.
And I think the point being that, and if I'm newer to the call, or if I haven't gotten to a point yet where I've earned ears, I think it's extremely important for you to understand our philosophy on this, which is why I said the most important thing for us is continuing the health of the company, continue to evolve the company so that people can make a ton of impact and therefore make a ton of money for many, many, many years to come. And if I'm on the outside, or if I'm newer, Mark, and I'm hearing that, that's extremely important, because we could go sell out right now if we were just focused on maximizing the value of ears. That would have an impact on a select group of people, right? That is not the goal. The goal of ears is it's just the cherry on top, right? The goal is we're building a massive empire that people can continue to make a ton of money. So if I'm new, that's what I would be most excited about, is what's going on behind the scenes with some of the stuff that Brian talked about, in addition to some of the stuff that you just keep hearing us mention. Yeah.
Can I say one thing for just something you hit really just resonated?
Yes.
All right. Two points. One, the value of Quility is obviously, right, it's based on many things, but some things we know it's based on are the value of the field division and all of the agencies, right? The value of the corporate division, specifically the cross-sell mechanisms, the value of wholesale, the value of the tech and the data and the products, everything we're talking about, the value of our clients. Like Pope is saying, if you have a happier client, you probably have more client value. You clearly have a tighter affinity with that client. Your business is worth more, right? All these things go into that. And I just want people to think about what you said about how we look at the build value in your agency. That's how you end up in ears. That is exactly how we are measuring this. And I don't know if people fully understand it. When you look at any business, it's not just your revenues that determine your value, ever. It's your growth rate. It's your client engagement. It's how well you recruit and retain employees, right? It's what specific divisions, right, that you own and have higher margin that generate value for you, right? A base shop, for example, higher margin than a 5-point or 10-point spread generally, right? We basically, this is what we're trying to say. Our analysis is very A, legal, very B, complicated, but very C, sophisticated. It's actually designed to get to the right answer. We literally do the analysis at the end of year to say, what's the relative value of every AO's agency based upon the factors that go into valuation. And obviously, if you have a high growth rate, your value is higher. Like all businesses with a high growth rate have a higher value. If your growth rate is low or negative, clearly your value is lower. It's not one metric. It's how we value the agencies and then take out of that valuation the top half of them and reward them with years. And what Brandon is saying is exactly right. More valuable agencies in Quility create value for everybody. They create it not just in the equity, But obviously, if we have more valuable agencies, there's more opportunities to advance. There's more opportunities to sell more product. There's more opportunities to promote yourself and get additional overrides as well as additional commissions. Like, that's the key. Build valuable agencies. Everything else will come.
Very well said.
Yeah, you know, can I want to interject something real quick because I think this is very, very germane to this part of the conversation. So we 7 weeks ago, we lost the corporate number one agent in corporate, right? And he went to a competitor for a higher contract, and we all figured we can probably guess who that is. Well, he came back, he flew down here basically hat in hand, pretty much pleading to be able to come back. And what he said was, he said, there's no question I can make way more money here. I was making way more money here on a lower contract than I would, and it has to do with and this is what really resonated with me, because the value you guys create for all of us and the things that's done, the support, all the other things. He said, I keep way more of my money in this system here than I did over there. And he goes, it's a ruse. It's like phony. It's like, look over here, because over on the other side is all the downside that nobody talks about. And he said, you guys create so much more value for us as agents. And I just, please take me back, because I'm starving.
Well,
and all the, right.
That's such a good point. And I'll say that the reason that he was welcomed back with open arms is because he also left the right way.
Yeah.
You know, and came back the right way. And it's not just that we're seeing people that have left come back. We're seeing droves and droves and droves of people leaving competitors. And there's generally two or three of them, 2 or 3 of the competitors that they go to, they're sold something, they come back and they're getting, you know, they go there and they're getting nothing of what they were sold. So they all want to come back. For the rest of this call, after I finish these slides, we really want to get in with Todd to talk about what he's hearing and maybe talk to us a little bit about some recruiting things that he's been seeing. Here are the tiers that I wanted everyone to see. We're looking at indexed kind of premium, I guess you would say, index numbers, right? Core net placement of 316 to 1.9. Okay. But again, if you're asking yourself, well, I fell in that category, you can fall in that category and still not qualify for ears. Okay. 46 AOs went to that category. As you can see, all the numbers here, total of about 180, 185, with about 80 producers making up that as well. So if you fell in some of these tiers, but you felt like you didn't get the number of ears or even ears at all, did you grow? Did you grow your base shop? You know, did you mint agency owners? Did you create new writers through recruiting? If you didn't do those things as well as people above you, then that is not a sign of you growing. That's a sign of you staying where you are. And anywhere in business, if you ain't growing, you're dying. So that's why you may not have received something. Okay. I think that's probably, good enough. Mark, you can see. Yeah, you can see what ears kind of looks like at different valuations with this numbers. Y'all give me a minute here. My new office likes to turn off if I'm not moving around. So yeah, everybody can kind of take a look at this for a second if they want to. You know, I think the most important comment here is to achieve targets. We seek to grow our revenues and our operating profits as a group 40 to 50% over 2020 to 2023. If we meet those goals and we stay focused, we believe these numbers are well within reach. Nothing is guaranteed, Mark.
Yep. And just to point out, we granted the same amount this year as we did last year. So everybody's going to look, but it was more inclusive this year. We tried to get more people. We have more AOs.
Yep.
Right. We granted to a lot of producers, right? That happened. And so there's more people in the plan, same number of units. Some people say, like he said, like, well, it shouldn't just be the rich keep getting richer. And we agree, right? The top grants last year would have been like 700,000 units. This year, the top grant was 326.
Yep.
Right. Doesn't mean anybody was shortchanged. It just meant that we smoothed the curve a little bit because we want to make sure that those of you who have the top half valuable agencies based on our criteria, examining true value, not just revenues, not just growth, not just a single division in your agency, like your base shop, but all of it, right? That there's an opportunity for everybody to share fairly and accrete some reward for what you're doing. But same number of years, a slightly flatter curve, and really focused on value this year. Just what are the top valued agencies, among all the AOs?
Yep. Well said. Now I want to get into some other good stuff here. Thanks for kind of bearing with us through that. I know that it can get certainly pretty confusing because, as Mark said, it's a very complex plan. And our goal for today was, how can we kind of simplify those things for you so that, if your focus is that you want to get ears, you really understand kind of what you should be doing to do that. And as I said, and this will be the last time I say it, it's the same things that help you build a massive business, extremely profitable business, so that you can enjoy so many of the things that other agency owners are enjoying, like crazy revenues for the amount of time that you put in. Spivey, if you can unveil, I wanted to go to you and Meredith and B-Dub, feel free to kind of jump in on any of this, but you've had an opportunity, Todd, for, call it the past 3, 4, maybe even 6 weeks. There's Adi behind you there. There's our wonderful chef.
Adi made some mean ribs and mashed potatoes today.
They were great ribs. Everybody say hello to Adi.
He deserves a blow pop and a gummy bear.
Is he in Pawpaw's or Peepaw's?
He's in Pawpaw's candy drawer.
All right, good.
Named it. Brandon named it Pawpaw's candy drawer.
Peepaw's candy. If anybody had a Peepaw, let me know in the chat. I never had a Peepaw. I had a Pawpaw. I never had a Peepaw. I think that's probably the best name. But I'm not going to be called Peepaw, Meredith. So don't even.
I got it in my back pocket.
Do not. So, what was I saying? 6 weeks or so, you've been really working a lot with agents from competitors coming over and either looking at wholesale, looking at Quility in general. But maybe you can kind of speak to a couple of things, Todd. How are people finding their way to you? How are people finding their way to Quility? What seem to be the main pain points, and how can we kind of help with that? Because what most people are realizing is that once they look at obviously where they are and they compare that to Quility in general, but then they look at wholesale versus field or corporate, it's kind of a no-brainer. So many people get beat into their heads, like Pope was saying, that comp is everything. But the one thing that you guys have that nobody else in the industry really has is not just good comp. You have great revenue, and you have even better net revenue. Agencies that are out there could be doing twice as much as you, and you can be making twice what they're making. They could be 2 times larger than you, and your group is making 2 times more net revenue than they are. That's big. And not even a lot of times Spivey net revenue, even gross revenues, right? So if you kind of think back to the way that we were all taught about money in school growing up, it always came down to, what is your value per hour? What do you make an hour, right? What is your net income per hour? Symmetry, Quility agents in general have higher hourly rates than anywhere else out there. And they will beat most doctors, most lawyers, most everything that you consider, maybe not athletes. I don't think we're quite there yet. It'd be nice if we could figure that one out. But so Spivey, I just wanted you to kind of touch for a second on what you're seeing and what kind of conversations you're having. And, one of the things that we've been talking about is recruit, go find licensed agents. People have listened to that. They're recruiting a lot more licensed agents. Maybe you can also help them figure out how to go find those agents, and also how to keep it classy. It's extremely important to us that we are not like the competition. We're not out there just trying to, poop on everybody else and we're the greatest thing. And we don't know anything about other organizations other than what we've been told. So we want to keep our recruiting classy.
It's one of the first things that they notice, Brandon, when I'm having conversations with some really large agencies and other organizations looking to make a move, they quickly are kind of, they almost take a step back because they notice in my voice, it's not talking anything about us versus them. All I'm talking about is our system and our facts, what we do and who we are. And I oftentimes share the story about, the way you and Casey have worked with me personally and said, Spivey, the more time you come to me and talk to me about what the competitors are doing, the less time I'm focused on doing what I need to be doing for Quility and our agents. And it resonates. It's such a shocking type of culture change for so many individuals. And what you said first, Brandon, is the primary. Guys, I feel like I've told Brandon like this, I take some responsibility on this, but we've really missed the mark in how we're marketing our company to licensed agents, and the fact that we have not explained the importance of ROI well enough for those to understand. It's taken people to get so sick and tired of a void of leadership where they're at. Just continuous examples of not a place that they feel like they can build a business that will last 10, 15, 20 years. It's a lot of people that have gotten tired of, they've gotten to the point where their agents have to dial at least $2,000 to $2,500 worth of leads every week in order to get $7,000 or $8,000 in production. And so when you talk, Brandon, about the importance of ROI, I think one of the best things that I could tell everybody out there when we're talking to others, have them explain to you their comp, have them explain to you their leads, how much time they're having to invest to dial those leads. And another key question to be asking is how many people on your team have access to the same type of leads that you can access at the top? That's an important one.
Hey, Todd, can I
Sure.
can I give you a perfect example? Because I've talked to hundreds of competitors' agents in the last month and a half. Do you remember Spinal Tap, where the guy says, my amp goes to 11?
Yes.
And the guy says, well, why don't you just make it louder and have it go to 10? And he goes, no, you don't understand. It goes to 11. And that's their common thing. It's like, no, it's like, well, how much money you keep? No, you don't understand. It goes to 11. And it's like, yeah, but how much money are you actually making in your bank account? No, you don't understand. It goes to 11. And there's such deception in them trying to, and they've been so pounded into them that like, no, you don't understand. My comp is 110. And it's like, no, but how much money are you making? No, you don't understand. It's like, literally, once they understand and they start to quantify, like, well, it's not what you get in the front end, it's what you keep.
It's also what
right?
you give up. What are you willing to give up for the income that you want to make? Because, that's the whole value, Pope, of time and money, right? If I'm having to work 40 of my hours just prospecting, man, I might be just as profitable going door to door, and I certainly don't have any more time to do the things that I actually want to do, like be with my family or be with my friends or do my hobbies or do whatever it is that I really work to do.
Real story, Brandon.
Brandon, guess what? What's funny is that's what they're doing. They're actually having everybody go door to door, like literally 100 door knocks a week. Like we're going backwards. This is not where I entered.
Two things to that too, guys, is Brandon, what you said, like I have spent some late nights and I have spent a lot of extra time talking to some of these teams. One of the most proud moments I had was one of the agents texted me the other day and said, do you realize you've given me back 8 hours a week of my life to my family because your leads are that much better?
Yep.
It's not the person that sent in that they increased their income by 10,000 or decreased their lead spend by 2,000. It's the agent that said, I got 8 hours back with my family this week. That's what we're doing. That's what it's about.
That's who we are.
And Pope is absolutely correct, guys, where I say that I'll take some blame and I feel like we all need to get better and understand what we're explaining to some other companies, guys, sounds like a unicorn. It sounds too good to be true. They are coming from a place where what we are selling and what we know to be facts and truth and what we do in a business and culture and who we are and the value prop and the ROI that we receive, it sounds too good to be true. And just to Pope's example about turning it up to 11, to volume 11, guys, it's taken me sometimes 3, 4, 5 phone calls before the individuals were able to stop, slow down, and literally get out a piece of paper and a pencil, and we walk through math exercises. But what you can't forget in those math exercises is exactly what Brandon and Meredith talk about, and Brian. You have to include how much of your time are you spending to get to the final number. And when the math wins on equality side, and you show them how you can get their life back, give them an opportunity to build a real business and actually spend their time doing things with their kids or with their families or their loved ones that they want to do, you don't lose a recruit from that point forward. But we have to meet them where they're at and understand that the first time they hear me go through my sales pitch, they think I'm crazy. You all know I am, but they hadn't figured it out yet.
I think it's also important to make a note here too, Spivey, what you said is how many times it takes for people to hear something. Sometimes it's like we feel like if we say it one time, they heard everything we said. And I think, I mean, there's statistics out there, it's the average of 7 times of hearing something before it really resonates. And so to not get frustrated by that, but to use that as a tool for you to like, let me say it a different way. Now paint that back to me. What did you just hear me say? No, I didn't say it that way. Let me tweak it, to really dive in deeper with people and when you're talking to people, because I think sometimes we just assume, well, I said it once, but they could have heard one little thing that spun them off as something in their brain where they were thinking about something else. So just to remember that when you're recruiting and talking to people.
I think it's a good point. I think it's also about asking a lot of questions. Nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to buy. Recruiting is the same as selling insurance. You have to ask a lot of questions to get to the why. Why are we even having this conversation? And what is it that they're missing? It's generally going to be time or money, right? But they have to come to that conclusion on their own, or else they feel like they're being sold something. And what do we know about insurance agents and insurance companies in general is a lot of times people are sold something that is too good to be true. And so they're currently in a situation where they were sold something that wasn't what it wasn't told them to be. It was too good to be true. So I think it's
a good
perfect.
mark, Brandon, too. It's a great point, because when I have some of these talks and I end up getting to somebody's upline, and what I originally had was an agent that's so excited and they see the opportunity to bring over a big team. They asked me to do a recruiting call, and we get off, and they often say, well, Spivey, you didn't really sell it as hard as I thought you were going to sell it. And I'm like, you're right. And I'm never going to. I'm here to tell you facts. I'm here to tell you the truth. And I'm here to tell you what to expect. And there's going to be hard times. There's going to be tough times. There's going to be challenges. But I'm here to tell you the facts and the truth. And I'm not here to sell you an opportunity. I'm telling you what is possible. But this is our culture. And this is who we are. And that's important that you're setting that message and that tone so early.
Well, let me just say one last thing, because I've talked to so many of these people. In the last 4 weeks, I've talked to 3 agents that through August paid $350,000 and netted less than $5,000 a month after expenses. Okay. And they're pissed and they're in debt. Their credit cards are racked up. These are people that came here with no credit card debt. Now they have, $60,000, $70,000 of credit card debt. They're making less money than the jobs they were coming from. And then the last thing I'll say is Brandon started to touch on this, and that is, I can't tell you how many people have told me your B leads are better than our A leads. Like your bonus leads are way better than what they call A leads. And the reason, guys, is because they're selling their A leads like 20 times. Okay. And they're running in, everybody's running into one another and so on and so forth. And it's just a mess. And so that's a real opportunity for us. It really is. And you put that alongside Quality Term and all these products that are coming, and DFL and all these other things. And I'm telling you right now, these people are out there. Save an agent. That's all I'll say. Save an agent, man. Get out there and save an agent.
I think we used to have a video about that. Oh man, good stuff, Todd. I wanted to save a little bit of time for Meredith and Brian. One last question that I've seen a few times pop up, Todd, if you want to just touch on it real quickly. How do you go about, how do you start finding some of these folks? You know, what's the best way to kind of get started? And obviously we're working on a lot of things behind the scenes with recruiting leads and with different things that are going to help with that. But just on my own recruiting, you know, utilizing social media, job forums, postings, that sort of thing. What do you see against the left?
The primary sources I see, guys, are just like we always say, the best place to recruit is in the home to protect the client. We're seeing a lot of opportunities unveil themselves just by you're getting emails, you're getting text messages, you're getting Facebook messages from somebody that's trying to recruit on social media or through direct text message. And a simple response of, no thanks, I'm really happy where I'm at with Symmetry, but if you ever would like to have a discussion about what we're doing here at Quality, be happy to have that. And that's opened up a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of internet forums out there, guys. There's a lot of insurance internet forums where you can simply just see the banter, and you'll notice that there are unhappy people. There are people that are frustrated with their company and frustrated with their uplines. And that's one way I've seen work, where people are reaching out and saying, hey, would you like to have a conversation? And one of the best ways too is that Max is unveiling that we're doing behind the scenes with Quality, guys, is we're getting better and better at finding and addressing licensed agents, Brandon. And those have led to some conversations on people that are a part of the Quality recruiting funnels and working with Max, that's leading to these conversations, and they think they're talking to a licensed agent. And the next thing you know, the agent's kind of like, uh-oh, this guy's got a team and does $1 million a month in production. You know, I would like a little bit of extra insight or something like that. And guys, we're here for that all day long. So those are the main sources right now, Brandon. And I'll leave you with this because I do want to let Meredith and Brian talk. But a lot of times too, we get excited about these places that have shiny objects and high contracts. What we're learning from a lot of these teams that are coming over from places like that, their focus is on these smaller contract companies, taking agents that are on 30, 40, 50% contracts, and they can only write with a handful of carriers. And just think about the opportunity to take some of those individuals and look for those companies, guys. Use the internet, use your resources, look for captive agencies or look for insurance agencies out there that say that their max commission grid pays out at 40, 50%. And now think about just how much more value we can add to somebody like that that's not coming over on a 120 or 130. And guys, I'm hearing stories of people grabbing 5, 10, 20 agents at a time with really solid individuals that know how to write insurance that are all capped at a 40% commission grid. So don't always get just sold on shiny high contracts, guys. There's so much opportunity.
Todd, we have access as well too. We can get lists of agents that are with the companies you're talking about, the Aflacs, the Combined Insurance, American Income. There's a lot of companies. We know who they are. We can get lists of those for people to recruit to as well.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. That's coming. It's coming. Well said, Spivey. It's like you've taken lessons from one of the all-time great recruiters. We're not going to name any names. College football recruiters.
Roll Tide.
I know we lost this weekend, but that's okay. We're on the rebound, hopefully. Meredith and Brian Williamson.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have a ton of time, but if we go a little bit over 1 o'clock, I'm A-okay with that because there's been a lot of stuff we've covered already.
Well, I think we can put a cap on it very well because it's right in the wood grain of what we've been talking about. Because, you know, to build valuable agencies, you need energy. And you cannot afford burnout, right? Your business cannot afford you to burn out. And so the good news is that burnout can't exist. It can't coexist with passion and the loyalty of commitment, right? When we have a model and an opportunity that is so valuable and has such potential for you to really create massive impact and massive income, right? We can't afford to allow ourselves, because of a lack of self-leadership, to burn out or to tap out. So Meredith and I were talking this morning, and we thought it'd be good just to kind of pour some fuel on your fire as we think about ending this year well. And Meredith, you had an interesting thought for me about just framing up the rest of the year. How many days are left, and get us thinking about that. What were you sharing with me?
Yeah, it hit me at about 2:30 this morning when I was laying there processing yesterday. But we're kind of preparing. Most of y'all know we use the EOS ROC system as one of our principles here. And so we've got our ROCs meetings coming up next week, and they're a little delayed from some scheduling and some things. And so I wanted to just make sure we were articulating correctly what is left in the year. And so this morning I was like, let's get up. I want to see how many work days are actually left in 2021, because we also have Thanksgiving. We also have Christmas coming up for those that celebrate holidays. And we want you, like we've been talking about, we want you to be able to take time with friends and loved ones around those holidays. Just like we want our staff to be able to do that. So how much time is there really left? And so if we count just actual work days, I think come Monday, it'll be right at 50 until 2021. We got 50 days left in 2021 to make a difference. And then I took it one step further and said, how many work days do we have till conference? We have 70. We have 70 work days to conference, which we're always building to. And I think to just, sometimes I think the end of the year always sneaks up on us. Time is I will argue, moving faster than it ever has, it feels like. And so to know yourself, to lead yourself, to really know what is my accurate amount of time do I have left in this year and to conference. And I think those concrete numbers really helped. They did for me this morning.
Yeah, that's great. So, I've always strongly believed in the law of diminishing returns when it comes to our energy, right? So, energy replenishes if we treat it well, but only this, whatever the guy's name was, Eliud Kipchoge, who won the Olympic marathon, right? Only he can sprint a marathon, and only Olympic athletes and professional marathoners can sprint a marathon. But we're designed to work in sprints and not marathons, right? We're designed to actually not push ourselves beyond what's a reasonable capacity. And so we believe that you can do this business and have a balance of time and work, right? That this pendulum swing of actually working hard and resting well, right? So what we wanted to do briefly was just give a reminder and talk through, let you do an audit really quickly on our tempo balance focus tool. And Meredith, we can talk about this too as we go through, and then give a couple final thoughts. But the first thing I like to do with this is just a very yes or no, like actually have everybody answer these questions, right? So for tempo, we're really asking ourselves the question, is my work sustainable? And I like to ask the question, like, could you do last month for a whole year? That's a sustainability metric, right? The way that you lived for last month. And again, we're not thinking of outlier crisis times or unusual circumstances, but could you do that all the time for the next year? And would it be healthy and good for you and your friends and family and so on? So is it sustainable? Is it rhythmic? Like, do you actually have a rhythm to it? And is it repeatable, right? That's the whole sustainable, repeatable mix. Is that a yes or a no? And we want you to be a liberator to yourself first, right? Challenge yourself and say, is that a yes or a no for me? And we'd love to see in the chat, just fire away for some of you engaging that way. Is it or not? Right now for me, I would say, yes, it's sustainable. I could use a little work on the rhythmic, but overall, this is a yes for me on the tempo part. And Meredith, for you, any thoughts just around where people tend to get the tempo maybe overestimating ourselves, or just any thoughts that you might have on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think sustainable is such a beautiful word, right? And so, because sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when I'm feeling very passionate and excited about something, I have a tendency to saying yes to a lot of things. And so that to balance that with that rhythmic of like, making sure I'm in that rhythm, I think is really helpful for me personally to make sure I'm doing both of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thing about balance, are my key relationships in sync? And of course, in our business that we're a leadership development company, and we are, as agency builders on this call, right? Relationships matter. People come first. And so as we're pushing hard, and maybe some of the driving type voices, don't look at this as the soft one of the three questions, because if we don't learn how to recruit and onboard and develop people and keep relationships in sync, that will impact our business metrics, right? So for the, logical analyst people that, when you start talking about relationships, it's important, but struggle with it, answer this honestly. Like, think about your agency and the health of your agency. Are those relationships in sync? Yes or no? And then finally, am I keeping the main things the main things? And this is really about prioritization, right? So we talk often about, work smarter and not harder, and work smarter and not harder. How do you do that? The way to do that is to have a strategy for your priorities. That's how you work smarter and not harder, is to have a strategy for your priorities. And so, Meredith, any final thoughts? I just wanted to get that quick audit in. I'm going to show one resource really quick that we'll make available to people that I think addresses a key part of this. But any thoughts on tempo, balance, focus as we?
Yeah, I think you summed it up beautifully. I love a simple tool, and for me, there's so much more impactful when it's just very simple and it hits right at it. And I think this tool does that.
Absolutely. And so what I want to leave you with today is, practically speaking, years ago when we did the deep dive into the research of what does it really look like to really level up through all of the levels of leadership, and we spent time with the top performers and a lot of the top 120s, and pulled out and extracted what are those leadership transitions, right? From leading yourself to leading others to leading leaders. And a resource that many of you probably haven't seen, because it's kind of like tucked away in the we behind the scenes in some file somewhere, but I want to make sure that this gets available to everyone, is this Excel spreadsheet, which effectively has 3 tabs in it, which actually shows you. Now, again, this was pre-COVID, so it's going to need a little massaging, but it's going to at least give you a head start on revisiting your schedule, so that you can make sure that you have a strategy for your priorities. You can actually make sure that your life is rhythmic, sustainable, and repeatable. And many of you are like, thank you, I don't even know how to create an Excel spreadsheet, and this is a great start, right? That's what we're hoping. But this first calendar tab was really, again, asking the people that got to the top of the company, what does it look like? What does a sales rep to a key leader schedule look like, right? Now, I like to call these early morning hours the Edward Pritchett hours. He's known to be very consistent of his 4:30 wake up time, or whatever that is. I tend to be a morning person as well. But you can just start to get some clues about what it looks like to block your schedule so that it is smooth, rhythmic, and repeatable. And so we don't even need to go in the weeds of this now. What I wanted you to know is this exists, and we have a sales rep to key leader tab. We have an AO to RAD tab. I'll go over to this one, where you're starting to see a little bit more of, space, not only for continuing to run production appointments, but to debrief with your agents and so on. And then what does it look like when you are kind of a regional agency director to the top of the company? And gosh, this when I went through this exercise and we were able to create this schedule, it's kind of a motivating thing to see the evolution of how your time gets spent in intentional ways and smooth, rhythmic, repeatable ways. So again, we'll let that resource stand. I'll make sure we get similar to what we did last week with Max and at our recruiting with Max Day, that we'll get this online somewhere for y'all and make that clear. But just want to have the principle and always a practical application to say, how do I begin to get those no's to yeses when it comes to tempo, balance, focus. So
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right on. We
And
are
make the
we are
best of the last
national.
50 days.
Yeah, that's right. The big 50.
Guys killed it.
I love that. I love the 50-day analogy because it helps us not to overestimate what we can get done either.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Appreciate you, B-Dubs and Meredith, and all the work you guys do to keep us all on task, and the agents and the home office in general. I know we've got big rocks meetings coming up next week, guys, with just getting our vision, our plan, our execution, who's responsible for every step of the way, is so intentional around here, and so much gratitude to the both of you and the work you do in that area. So I really appreciate that.
I really enjoyed listening to you. I hesitated to even jump in because you've been doing such an incredible job behind the scenes with, really doing a lot of that pioneering work of actually effectively, being who you are at your best, right? Being a connector creative and building relationships, building bridges, casting a compelling vision. And so those best practices that you've been able to pull out and begin to share with us today. Again, the agents on this call are obviously in the trenches of that, but you've been doing that in a way that has been very, very effective. And I know we can't go into full details, but just to say, man, I love, because I know that's hard, unseen work, but I have a principle in leadership that what we cultivate in secret gets rewarded openly, right? So we go do these things that are behind the scenes, and we're like, man, I'm working on all this stuff, and then boom, one day it comes to light that, man, there's actually there's actually a reward and great results really that come from those unseen things. So good stuff, my friend.
I appreciate you saying that, B-Dubs, very much so. And with that, guys, let's I think we got a video. Brian, Ariel,
Video up.
take it away.